Whew. I'm really nervous. Okay. This is me. Hi, my name is Veronica E.G. Ray Pena. I'm 16 years old. I was born April 27th, 1999. I'm from Longmont, Colorado. I'm a Taurus. My favorite animal is a giraffe. My mom calls me Turtle, and I'm gay. I've been wanting to make this announcement, I guess you could call it, for a really long time, but I've had various things get in my way. I'm like shaking. I'm honestly terrified of being rejected. I'm posting this video on my personal Facebook, on YouTube, and the links to the YouTube video on my Instagram and on my Twitter and like all my other social media. And I'm terrified to see like the response, and I'm like most terrified to see the response on Facebook because I'm currently friends with 905 people on Facebook, and I know them all, and it's hard to believe, but I do. They're either like dance friends or people I've gone to school with, or people I used to go to school with, or like my mom's friends that I love, or just people in general that like I know and like have played a part in my life, like people who go to my church or people I babysit for, like the list goes on. And I'm absolutely terrified of being rejected by every single one of them. I'm friends with the woman I babysit for and her 3 kids I absolutely love, and I'm terrified she won't let me see them after this. And okay, I'm scared that like family members who I haven't told like won't accept me, and I'm scared that people that go to my church who have played huge parts in who I am will look at me differently, and I'm scared that my dance friends and teachers will look at me differently, and I'm scared that my mom's gonna lose friends because of something that I have absolutely no control over, and I'm just terrified of being rejected. But I'm gonna do this anyway, and let's see what happens. I wrote this whole thing out, so I'm just gonna like glance down every once in a while to like read it, because I have everything that I want to say written down. It's just I know if I like just bled it would just not make any sense. So I think the most common question I get asked is, when did you know? For me personally, like it's hard to say. Like there's people that like knew when they were little, and like I think I did too. I just like never really acknowledged the feelings were there. Like a part of me has always known, but like I never really admitted it to myself. And when I did, it wasn't a thing I was very happy with. Like ever since I was a little girl, I've always thought the girls were beautiful and like gorgeous, and I've always been attracted to girls. Whether I said anything or not is a completely other story. And even when I did say something, I immediately after I just felt like completely disgusted with myself, and I just felt like gross and dirty, and I just pushed it away, and I didn't want to deal with it anymore. I still find men attractive. Let's get that straight. But what I need everyone to understand is like you can find someone attractive but not be attracted to them. Like look at it this way. Like plenty of straight girls can recognize other pretty girls. They're saying like that person is attractive. They're not attracted to that person though. And that's like what I mean when I say I know, like I still find men attractive, because like I know what an attractive man looks like. I appreciate the beauty that is men, and yeah, like so I find men attractive. I'm just not attracted to them. I've always been attracted to women, and it wasn't until 6th grade or so that I kind of started admitting to myself that I was attracted to girls. But at that time in my life, I was being severely bullied in my school, and I was incredibly depressed. Yes, I was 12 to 13. Yes, I was depressed. It's a thing. It happens. Move on. There were like a few girls in 6th grade that would just pick on me and like bully me, and my self-esteem really dropped. I was already struggling with depression, or like inner demons. I was already struggling with inner demons, and like the way these girls at school made me feel like didn't make it any better. I quite honestly like hated myself. In 7th grade, between my friends, I identified as bisexual. This was a giant step for me. It was the first time that I really acknowledged that I was attracted to girls. As I know then and I know now, I am not attracted to men, but I was not ready. I was nowhere near ready to admit to myself that I'm gay. So bisexual was just gonna have to cut it for me. I never got bullied for my sexuality, ever, and I'm one of the very, very fortunate ones that like hasn't ever experienced that kind of hurt, and my heart breaks for the people that have to deal with it on a regular basis. I cannot imagine what that pain is like, and I feel so hard for those people. While I wasn't like bullied for my sexuality, I was bullied for other things, but at this point in my life, it's such a blur. Middle school was such a blur. Some of you may know this and some of you may not, but I'm tired of apologizing, I guess you could say, for like things I've been through, because I've been through a lot of stuff. But throughout middle school, I struggled with severe depression and suicidal thoughts, and I self-harmed. I'm not even gonna lie about it. Like, I would sit at home and I would hurt myself on purpose, and I would cry and it would just be awful. I was completely miserable all through middle school. Having various people reject me, as well as me rejecting me throughout middle school, I continued to fall down a hole of sadness and pain, and I continued to hate myself. I hated looking in the mirror because I hated what I saw. I wasn't the person my parents wanted me to be. I wasn't the person that I wanted to be, and it sucked. Adding to the fact that like throughout middle school I really struggled with like my religious beliefs. The church I attend has never said anything near being gay is a sin. I think I put that own thought in my head, and that kind of took a toll on me too. As 7th grade came to an end, my depression was at an all-time high and still climbing. I was cutting myself every night and crying for hours. I was completely miserable. And that same year, a really close friend of mine tried to kill herself, and that took a toll on me as well. And I was plummeting, and I really didn't know what to do. In 8th grade, for the first semester, I remained at a school I hated. It made me even more depressed. I dreaded getting up in the morning and going to school, where I would feel out of place and incredibly disliked. I can now say that the majority of the people that I thought disliked me really didn't, but 8th grade me didn't know that. I'm now close with like a lot of the people that I thought didn't like me, but like 8th grade me didn't know that none of them really didn't not like me. 8th grade me thought everyone hated her, and but it wasn't like that at all. But I put the thought in my head and I decided to move schools. Once I moved, I was still depressed, and I was still hating myself, and I was still cutting, and I was still suicidal. The amount of nights I have spent staring at a pile of pills is scary, and I wish that I would never have to go back to that place, and I wish nobody feel that. I don't want anyone to ever feel that kind of pain and that kind of hurt, and I don't like the idea that anybody gets to the point of feeling that they want to die because they don't feel like they have any more to live for. I was there. I've been there so many times, it's hard to count them all, and it's scary. And if you know somebody that's going through that, like, be a friend, because I promise you that's what they need right now. With schools, like, things shifted. I was the new kid in the last year of middle school, and I would only be attending the school for 5 months. These people had been building friendships and relationships for years, and I was just some random. I had one friend for the first 2 months of being there. And when that friend tried to kill himself, he was hospitalized and didn't come back to school. He was homeschooled, and as far as I know, he still is. But like I said before, I've never been bullied for my sexuality, but this friend had, by people at this new school, and that scared me. I was still identifying as bisexual, and I was terrified of the hatred I would receive. Thankfully, I really didn't receive any, but watching a close friend try to take his own life because of it made me like rethink everything. By the time I switched schools, I had already been in a relationship for 2 months. It was with a boy. He was the first and only real boyfriend I've ever had. Looking back, I think that having a boyfriend at the time made bullying me a little hard, so it just didn't happen. While I don't regret the relationship or anything I've ever done for that matter, I never truly loved the boy, and I will forever feel a sense of guilt for wasting a year of his life. No matter how much pain and hurt he put me through, I never could have loved him, and I know that now. Being in this relationship was honestly awful. it was purely toxic from the start. He was still with his ex when he kissed me for the first time. He tried to cut things off the day after I told him I loved him for the first time, and he went back to his ex. By January, he decided that he wanted to be with me, and for reasons I will never understand, I took it back. It's not that I regret it, I just don't understand what my thought process was, and that makes it weird, I guess. That relationship was really, really hard on me. The entire time we treated each other with nothing but disrespect. Nobody was at fault for the ending of the relationship because honestly, we both played huge parts in it. I don't regret a thing, and I hope that he's happy now with whatever his life is holding for him. Being in that relationship, though, was incredibly difficult. I was still depressed, and I was still suppressing feelings of liking girls, and I was still cutting, but it had eased up a little bit as I returned to dance that year after quitting for 2 years. And finding places to hurt myself without it being seen at dance was rough, so I stopped. And when I did feel the need to hurt myself, I did, in very small cuts on the inside of my wrist, and I would cover it up with makeup or wear jackets all the time. I remember in 8th grade, I was in the bathroom at my studio, and I could hear 2 people talking about me. And they were just talking about how it was weird that I wore jackets all the time, even in 90-degree weather. And I cried for a solid 5 minutes before I left the bathroom, and I went to ballet like I normally would. I have memories of standing in the bathroom, in that same bathroom, frantic with makeup trying to cover cuts from the previous night. I'd completely forgotten about dance, and I was terrified that somebody was going to notice. To be honest, I really don't know how somebody didn't notice the huge random orange blob on the inside of my wrist, but nobody said anything to my face, so I took it as a pass and I moved on. It wasn't until the summer of 8th grade year that I kissed a girl for the first time, and it gave me butterflies. Even though it was a friend and I didn't really see her like that, and I still don't, it was just the thought of kissing a girl that made me feel exhilarated. By this time, it was July of 2013, and my relationship was falling apart. I was out of town for a month, and my then boyfriend was just always making me feel bad. Needless to say, I was probably doing the same to him. We broke up for that month, and once I returned, we got back together, only to be together for another month and a half before our relationship was over for good. Then 9th grade came, freshman year of high school, and I don't think I was ever more scared than going into high school. I just got out of a serious relationship, and I was a mess. I chose to go to a school for a boy, and I left all my friends behind. I often think about what would have changed how my life would be different if I went to the school that I had originally planned. But I thought about it so much that it was making me sick, so I just stopped. I don't regret my decision to attend my current school, but I wasn't fond of it at first. Going into freshman year, I felt lost. I didn't know what I was in terms of sexuality, and I was still so depressed. For the first year of high school, I had a really toxic friendship. I didn't know it was bad until it ended, but I can honestly say that without that friendship, not only do I know that I wouldn't be alive, but I wouldn't have the courage to be doing this. Even if we didn't end on the best terms, I'm thankful for that person and the time she spent in my life, and she knows who she is, and yeah. In November 2014, things took a turn for the worst. My very best friend decided to take his own life after years of being bullied and tormented and beaten up for being gay, fighting a hard battle with depression, self-harm, and suicide. It all just became too much for him. He hung himself, and he died for approximately 18 minutes. I didn't find out until the following week, and I fell to pieces. This was the 3rd year in a row that one of my friends had tried to kill themselves, and while each of them impacted me in a different way, this one stuck with me the most, and it still affects me to this day. I remember the day maybe a little too well. It was a Friday, and I was going on a field trip with our school's orchestra. We were on the bus ride down to Denver to go see the Colorado Symphony, and he texted me and he was telling me how he was just done. He had had enough. His then boyfriend was just making him feel so bad, and if I'm being completely honest, I was distracted. I was on the bus with my friends getting angsty as we got to Denver, and I just wasn't paying that much attention to him. Looking back, I really wish I would have, but I've learned that I can't change anything that happened that day, no matter how much I want to. When we got to the orchestra, I told him I had to go in the fear of getting in trouble with my teacher. That was the last time I talked to him as him. After getting lunch and driving back to the school where my grandma would pick me up to drive me to a friend's house to help me with the puzzle that is the Odyssey, things took a drastic turn for the worst, and I didn't even know it yet. The bus had arrived back at the school at approximately 4:30. My phone was almost dead, and I ran into the school to charge it, call my grandma, as well as print out instructions to my friend's house, or not instructions, directions. And she drove me to my friend's house, and we did homework, and then I went home, not knowing what was going on across town. His parents were holding up his body, loosening the rope from around his neck, and waiting for the ambulance to come. I found out the next Tuesday. A friend had texted me asking me if I heard, and I said, "Heard what?" And that's what she told me. And I broke down into tears in the middle of my music technology class, and I texted my mom. I had a panic attack right then and there, and I just didn't understand. By this time of the year, I was working through my self-hatred. I was learning that being gay really isn't a bad thing at all. However, I wasn't fully honest with myself, and I let myself get treated so badly before I realized what I deserved. I'm proud of myself for that because it took a lot. I started flirting with girls and was interested in one in particular. It didn't last, but it was a huge thing that I even said anything to her. We had what my generation would call a thing for about 2 months before she could cut it off. I was heartbroken. The first girl I ever liked decided that she wanted to be with a boy. I was mad, and I was angry, and I was confused, and I felt even more rejected than ever before. I had finally admitted to myself that I liked girls, and this is what happens. My luck. While all this was happening, then rumors started to circulate that I was some dyke dating some girls, and they hurt a lot more than I thought they would, but nobody still ever said anything to my face. I was falling back into a deep hole of depression, and my best friend was essentially brain dead. People looked at me weird and whispered behind my back. I just felt alone. Freshman year was honest to God hell, and I hated it. The only reason I got through it was for my music technology teacher, my 9th grade English teacher, and the lady that came in and out of my freshman bio class who would later become my 10th grade English teacher. I relied on my teachers to get me through the year, and they pulled me through, and I'm forever grateful to them, and I love each of them with all of my heart. As freshman year ended, I had various things with other girls, none of which working out, but I was becoming more comfortable with the idea of me being gay, and about halfway through freshman year, I started identifying as gay, which was a moment I am still very proud of. Once June came around, I got up the courage to tell my mom. I had been trying to tell her for weeks and weeks, but I chickened out every time. I ended up telling her on the stairs of my house with my family no more than 10 feet away, and so I was talking really quietly. If I'm being honest, her initial reaction hurt my feelings. She said, "No, you're not," and honestly, looking back, I don't blame her for how she reacted. I think that at the time it was very trendy for people to be gay or bisexual or say that they were. Why? I really don't know, but her initial reaction just really hurt me. This is what I was scared of. I was scared of being rejected, and this is what I'm still scared of as I'm making this video. I'm just trying to get through it and then edit it and hopefully put it out there and receive a positive response. Looking back, I really don't blame her for her reaction, and I don't hold grudges for her reaction. She's just as human as I am, and I know that she loves me and supports me no matter what, and I'm really, really lucky to have such a supportive mom. Summer of freshman year ended, and I was ready to be a sophomore. I talked with various girls over the summer, even met one and kissed a little. Not a big deal. But when sophomore year started, I was more comfortable with who I am. I'm gay. After struggling with it for so long, it's nice to not entirely hate myself. I struggle with depression still throughout my sophomore year, but nothing as severe as it used to be. I had stopped cutting a long time ago, and my suicidal thoughts were near gone. The end of August was coming, and then it happened. I met a girl. This girl changed my life, in good ways and in bad, but in no way do I regret the time we spent together. I met her online, which many people may say that it's not a real relationship, but that's a whole other story. Let me tell you something though. This girl, oh my goodness, I fell for this girl, and I fell for her harder than I'd ever fallen for anyone before, and I was over the moon in love with her. She was funny and beautiful and had such a great personality. Our relationship was nowhere near perfect though, as we both struggled with depression, and before I knew it, she was trying to kill herself too. I'm just unlucky, I suppose. But I loved her so much. I loved her with every inch of my body, and I put so much time and effort and money into her, and she was worth it to me. I would do it all over again, even if I got the same outcome. After 10 months of dating, we broke up in early May of this year, and I think that it was what's best for both of us. If it wasn't for her, I don't think I would have ever truly accepted me, or I would have ever truly accepted myself for who I am, me, and all my gayness. I recognize myself as somebody who mattered because of her, and even though we ended on bad terms, I'm thankful for the time she spent in my life, and to be completely honest, I planned to kill myself the week after we started talking, but I was so smitten for this girl, I changed my mind. So to her, for saving my life, thank you. And now I'm here. It's June 27, 2015, and gay marriage was legalized nationwide yesterday. And this is what compels me to make this video. I finally have the courage to say that I'm gay, and I'm proud of who I am. Who I love doesn't change who I am. It's influenced who I am, but the majority of the people that I know didn't know, and I don't think they would have ever guessed it had I not made this. I promise, I'm still Veronica, I'm still me, I still love to dance and sing and draw and paint and watch Netflix and write. I still love giraffes, my mom still calls me Turtle. I just love differently. I hope that you accept me, I really, really do, and I hope that you love me for who I am, because this is it, this is me. And it feels so good not to hide from anyone anymore. I'm overjoyed with the Supreme Court decision, I'm proud to be gay, and I'm so blessed to have such amazing people in my life, and I have amazing things ahead of me. To those who didn't believe me when I first told them, to those who thought it was a phase, it's not. I probably told you about a year ago or something, and I'm still here, I'm still gay, and it's not going anywhere. But to you, I forgive you. I don't hate you for thinking that it could have been a phase. For some people, it is, but for me, it's not. It's who I am, it's a part of me, and I hope you believe me I hope you believe me now, but I honestly really don't care if you do, or if you don't. I am who I am, and I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. To the people who may be offended that I didn't tell them before posting this, I'm sorry. Coming out is so hard and overwhelming, and I've tried to tell the majority of you probably more than 1,000 times. I think this is the best way for me to tell everyone, and I don't regret this decision. I'm scared. I'm still scared. I'm posting this online for the world to see, and I'm scared to see the reactions. I still want to babysit those 3 kids that I love. I still want to be recognized as a member of my family. I still want to dance at a place that I get to call a second home. I don't want this to change anything. It's just another part of me that makes me me. I still have bad days. I still struggle with depression, but I can honestly say that for the first time in my life, I really love myself. I love who I am, and I love the person I'm becoming. I'm excited for my future and what it has to hold, and I hope you continue this journey with me. If not, I completely understand. I wish you all the best on your own journey, and I know you're gonna do great things. Thank you for listening to me and letting me tell my story, as awkward as it was. I'm probably looking over there a lot because there's a mirror to make sure I'm in focus, and I'm probably looking down a lot, looking at my thing to make sure I hit every point that I wanted to. But this is it. This is me.